No
Right.
worries.
Let's get going. Hi, Susanna, by the way. Thanks for joining. Thank you, everybody, for making time for another update on the AI Exchange. For those who are relatively new to this call, please know that it's being recorded and shared publicly. So it's better not to share any confidential information. In this session, I'll be going back and forth with Aranish. For example, Aranish reporting on the successes that we had last week in San Francisco. I couldn't be there, which I very much regret, but I'm very curious to the story. And also, Aranish will focus on some of the work streams and the status of them. So let me start by sharing the slides of this session. We'll welcome some new authors. We'll go through some flight safety instructions for the AI Exchange, some leadership updates, and then work updates. That's going to be the majority of this session, I think, and any other business. And I know that part of work updates is also an update on outreach, including the San Francisco updates. Question to the group: are there any points that we should add to the agenda, things that you would like to either share or discuss at this point?
I can ask one thing. According to the newcomers, maybe it will be very helpful to that someone will help us a little bit to onboard to the document. But I think we can share. We can just share it between the groups, working groups, or working for the different areas. But I think it will be easier for us to jump into the process. It makes faster onboarding process. Thank you very much.
That sounds like a great idea. In what work items are you currently involved, Piotr?
Regulation, AI, EU AI Act, and everything related with this part.
I'll make sure we're definitely going to touch on that. It's one of the highlight topics that we have. So we'll touch on that. Any other points? I hear none. Otherwise, you can, of course, bring them forward at the end of the session at any other business agenda item. So welcome to new members. Sia, which we have on the call right here. Randy and Caleb have recently joined. Sia, maybe a brief introduction of yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Zia. I'm currently working at Paycom as application security analyst. I recently graduated masters, and I mostly do pen testing for application, network, and mobile applications. So I'm just learning AI security and trying to do some research for AI. That's pretty much about me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sia, for joining. The reason that we felt it was a great idea to add you to the team is that people who have strong motivation to learn more about AI and have a security background, they have the perfect profile to do research and to join in on some of the work, the things that we need to find out. So that it doesn't mean that you have to be a super AI security expert to be part of the authors. A security background and strong motivation is also, these are the ingredients of being successful here. So thanks for joining, Sia. Demetrios, did you have previously had in the previous calls an opportunity to introduce yourself?
I did about 3 or 4 weeks ago, actually about a month ago. Yes.
Good. I need to watch those recordings. As you know, I was on a holiday.
That's right. You were in Greece.
I wish I were.
All right.
I was in Austria, sort of.
Yeah. That's right.
In that direction.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to meet everybody again and meet the new team members. My full name is Dimitrios Lazarikos. I grew up in Chicago. Parents are Greek immigrants. You'll see my name show up as Laz. It's much easier here in the States, but I'll answer to Dimitri or Laz. I've been in security since I was 12. I spent some time in the military. Post-military, I became a CISO 4 times. I've been a tech founder a couple times, and have been a big follower of OWASP. And then when the opportunity presented itself for OWASP AI, I want to make sure I contribute some of the work that I've been doing, and excited to be here and working with everyone.
Lovely. Thanks for that. Oh, and for those, because we started the recording when I introduced the meeting, for those who are watching the recording, Laz just shared some great news from the High Trust Conference, where they were qualifying our work as sort of the North Star for AI security, which is a great reward for everything that we've done and a great recognition. And we'll make sure we're gonna quote them on that. So that was for the recording. Moving on. These are the flight safety instructions. Slack is our main communication channel. Make sure to visit it regularly to not miss any messages. If you don't have any more to-dos, please put your name to sections in the review table. Now, let me show you where you can find this by sharing our Google document right here. There it is. Okay. This is the top of the Google document. Here's the to-do list. I will take you to an overview of all the work items that we have. We recently grouped them into math work items that are mostly about adversarial machine learning, very mathematical and statistical. Then there are some smaller work items. Then there is aligning with other standards, including MITRE work, NIST work, where Susanna's working on, some work by the Estonian government, just to make sure that we're aligning with the consensus, in the international work, and also that we don't miss any important countermeasures or attacks. An example is that previously we did not have the denial of funds attack, which is an attack where you're just overloading a service that uses a paid cloud AI service, an LLM, and you make the company that runs this service pay a lot of money to the LLM because of that. That was an attack that we were missing, and we found it in one of the other overviews. So it's good to stay aligned. And then there are some bigger projects with step-by-step guide, outreach, and project AI requirements for the AI Act. The point is that below this is an overview of the entire table of content of the Exchange, where people can put their name next to sections that they want to review. And review will take place either now, but typically the strategy is to first finish the 0.9 version that we're working on, take out all the things that we want to improve based on the to-do list, and then make the OWASP AI Exchange available for review to the community, so we can take it to version 1.0. So that was about review. Chair, if you're unavailable for a period when you picked up something, this is important. Sometimes work items get stalled because the person who's doing it is missing in action for a week or 2 weeks or a month sometimes. Please make sure that you share it. It's okay. We all have our lives and our work, but we need to be more predictable. Let leadership know. So that's John, Chris, Aranish, or me. If you need anything or have impediments, you can also approach us directly if you want, if not in the authors channel. Help make some noise for the Exchange, submit to a conference, post on socials. We have a section today that takes you through the latest opportunities for conferences. And an important note is that we focus on what is AI specific, and we want to minimize conventional material. So we're not going to detail how an information security management system works, but we are going to talk about what's AI specific about it. And when you're using a Google document, always use review mode or add any comments. You can still see the slides, correct? Can you see the slide?
Sure.
I have no indicator in my screen, which is new to me.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, so the highlights of the leadership update is that we're increasing momentum in global collaboration. So working with the OECD, there's a typo here, COSI, and with the European AI Act. There's progressing work in a step-by-step guide, red teaming, the work by Suzanne on AI DAL, and the requirements work. And we're doing, of course, advocacy and outreach, of which OWASP San Francisco past week was one. So, yeah, we know that OWASP AI Exchange is becoming the authoritative guide to AI security. And it's nice if people sort of echo this and recognize this, like HITRUST today. Regarding external alignment, John has currently a talk in Belfast, so he couldn't join the session. But from him, there's no further update on the US AI Security of Safety Consortium. Slowly gaining traction is, I think, still the status. We submitted our input to OECD consultation. I think this is something that was previously shared. We're working on getting a follow-up call with COSI. So here's the interesting thing. For those of you who are not aware of COSI, this is the Consortium on Secure AI. All the big names that you can imagine are behind this, and they are working on to start guidelines for defenders. And this is exactly what we have built. They are part of a large open source consortium like OWASP is, and they are about to start this, and we're looking for a way to collaborate. And when I say collaborate, I do not envision that we have a bi-monthly call. No, actually work together and to prevent that they have to reinvent the wheel and there will be misalignment, etc. So let them build on our work and get their input and make sure that there is combined governance. That would be really great to achieve. It would be a shame if we would not succeed to do that. They're surely motivated. We're motivated to make this work. But it's a little bit of a search, especially when it comes to how to do this sort of in a fair, democratic governance way, especially given all the stakes of the big tech companies that are involved in this. But important, probably our most important alliance opportunity currently. So as you know from the previous update, I was elected as co-editor of the AI Act security standard. And the news is that a couple of days ago, our current version was accepted as draft to be shared within JTC 21. This is a new step. And although the majority of the work has come from our group, I feel that the rest of the working group is buying into it and appreciating it. And we're getting a lot of feedback to help make it improve. And sometimes that feedback is based on things that we already tried and didn't work. Like, for example, changing the structure, but that's fine. But I think it's a great milestone that the group has said, let's share this further within Sensenelic, because we want this to represent our current status and the progress of our work. And this is exactly the content that we've worked on together as part of the requirements initiative. The longest story is that this standard needs to be in an official draft version in the beginning of January. And that is going to be an important date for us because we need to base our planning of the 0.9 version of our work items on that deadline. Because we want to have, established our sort of 0.9 status before we present it as a draft for ballot within Sensenelic. More on that later. Also, ISO 27090, as you may have heard, has accepted our many pages of contributions. One of our great successes, I think. and they could use some help. And I formed a team. Ahmed and Benas are on the team. And I'm awaiting their instructions when it comes to the comments that need to be resolved and the document we need to work on. May take a day, may take a week. So bear with me until I get more information and we can start planning doing this work. It will be editorial work, right? Changing text, copy and pasting, but it's for a very important task, which is the International AI Security Standard, which is 27090. All right. Yeah, handing it over to Aranish for this part of the leadership update. Is that okay, Aranish?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So where we are, let me see if anything specifically stands out from this one. So one of the changes, or rather like one of the things that I was thinking is probably make sure we have like a standardized and updates on all the work items. So we are starting with the red teaming. So I was working offline with Behnaz on this one. So one of the things that we will start doing is, even if there are no updates on a particular project, or if like it's minor update, it's still actually important to go through that one. So we're going to actually touch on this one. So maybe you actually go to the next slide, Rob. Let's see. So again, I think this one you all know in the leadership itself, there are like few functional areas that we are responsible for, but I think it doesn't stop us to actually helping each other in other areas also. And this is also important from scaling our work, right? Because we all have like our day jobs also, but also need to ensure like we are progressing on this, get traction on this across the board, right? Whether it's conferences, branding and stuff, right? So it's important to actually go through this area. Next slide. So I think the two important things that we have on our plate itself, one is the version 0.9, and I believe the date that we are targeting, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, is sometime in Q1, early Q1, or maybe end of Q4 of this particular year.
Yeah, end of Q4, as we have to get the content in that draft that we need to share halfway January within Sensenelic.
So for 0.9, I think there are a few functional areas which are important to be squared away, or at least made progress on this one. Step-by-step guide is definitely one of those things that we have to make steady progress on this one. Red teaming standards, mapping and taxonomies are another one. There are a few other things that are important, and all this is important because we are going to go for like a 1.0 release sometime in Q1 or Q2 of next year, and that would ensure like all the quality controls, all the quality of the documentation, the guide itself is pristine and it's clear. So I don't have like a date on the 1.0 version, but I think like we are progressing on the 0.9 as we go along. Maybe we can actually go to the. So we'll have like a new section, like more of a formalized one, which is talking about the workstream project updates. We're going to go with a few functional areas today. I mean, like definitely step-by-step guide, red teaming. I'm not sure if there are people from the EU requirements on the call. I know few folks are working on this, but let's go to the first update, which is from a red teaming side from Behnaz. Behnaz, do you know actually provide an update on this one?
Yes. So hello everyone. Yeah, thanks. So well, we have new updates from our group. Actually, 10 of tools are already actually completed, and we need a rough review for it. And we try to have actually consider actually different qualitative factors for each of the tools. And they are based on, for example, popularity, community support, scalability, integration. And for example, we try to consider the tools is best suited for example, development for large scale of the industry, or they are researcher focused, and we try to consider different consideration. And we try to categorize each of the tools to the different actually label, for example, high, moderate, and low. And our consideration based on GitHub starts, GitHub forks, a number of the issues that they are open and closed, and different people who are as a contributors on the tools, and other factors. Could you please go to the next slide? Yes, this is the one of the example that we created actually for our tools. I deleted the name. So this is actually the information which we try to gather for each of our tools. For example, as you can see here, we started to consider, for example, the GitHub starts, and this is all the information is until actually 2024, which means that for next year it will be updated, and update the information and update the table are continuously processed. And yes, and could the next slide? Yes, this is another table which we consider. For example, I actually covered the tool's name again. So this is, for example, they will be added to the table. For example, this table is best suited for enterprise level deployment or for the research or cybersecurity and defense applications. And we try to have a key strengths, for example, about the different factors, and we try to have a considerations, for example, that they are maybe overkill for the small or less security projects. And we try to have another factor, for example, as I mentioned before, for example, for these tools are more suitable for the large enterprise security teams, or they are for the research institutes or something like that. And next slide, please. Yeah, and at the end, we plan to add information about the source of the reviews and actually data, and including the data to which they are valid, and clarify that the reviews are objective. This is not our personal opinion, or they are not actually opinion about the OWASP AI Exchange suggestion to use which tools or which tools are not good or something like that. And this is all the information are based on the GitHub starts and about the different professionals peoples and about the websites that the whole of the people are using it, and professional people are using it. And the information are, for example, they are valid until, for example, at the end of the September or at the end of for example, this year. And the process of the actually update the tables, this is something which we consider as a continuously process, because the tools will be updated, the different people will add their opinions, so it is continuously changing. Yeah, and well, we come up with another new idea, and we can have actually the information in a separate file. Actually, we talked about it, that can be downloaded from the website. And I think that could have several advantages. Firstly, it allows for local use, and additionally to access the information, for example, about the threads, because we have one factor about the threads information, that they will be actually directed to the OWASP AI Exchange website. For example, poisoning, adversarial, or prompt injection, and all of the things that each tools are covered, they will be directed to the OWASP AI Exchange website. And so on the other hand, we can also track the number of the downloads. And we thought about that maybe it can be a good idea, and we will be glad to hear actually your opinion, Rob, John, and Arunash, about that.
Looking for the unmute button. This is about the form, right? And how you want to present it as a separate download, correct?
Yes, this is actually the separate document that we talked about, that maybe it could be beneficial actually for the people that they are using. They can download it from the website.
Yes.
So we can have all the tools, all our information on and tables on a OWASP AI Exchange website. And at the end, we can have actually a downloadable file, exact the same information and exact the same table on a OWASP AI Exchange website. So it can be downloadable, and people can use it, for example, local. But if they wanted to use more information about the different attacks, different security controls, and all of the things, they will be redirected to the OWASP AI Exchange website.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. If we look at the AI Exchange and let's have a look. Yeah, we have the content that's basically here. So it has the overview, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then references.
Exactly.
I think the overview should be added to this. And we are in the process of re-evaluating our website technology, which may result in the ability to download parts of it, which we currently don't have in the form of a PDF. Yeah, I think it's worth considering because it's so it's also an isolated piece of work, is to make it part of our content. So add a content block here, red teaming tools, and when you're on that page, clearly show a link for people to download the PDF version.
Yes.
Till we have that website that does this automatically, it will require some manual work when we update to a new version, which is a nuisance, but it will surely help. So I'm in favor.
Okay.
Any other opinions?
Me and Behnaz had spoken about this. So this is going to be a document that's going to have several versions, one after another. So at this point, it's a given number of handful of AI, deep learning, machine learning AI red teaming tools, and as well as for LLM and generative AI. Over time, the idea is bring more and more tools into this document. So one thing we'll have to keep in mind is that there's going to be some sort of versioning, some sort of update, and that's where also the point where we say, okay, this is as of September 2024. And that also means that the document is going to be sort of a it'll get appended with new tools, and at a given point in time, somebody should be able to download the latest version, so to say.
Yeah, makes sense. Is this also, let me see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the review is on my plate. The ball is in my court. I need to review.
Yes.
I made a note of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then ready to publish. So you guys are close. That's pretty cool.
Yes, actually. And this is actually, we try to bring on a table our time plan, our group time plan. So this is our plan until the end of the year. And we will do our best to stay committed to it. And I think our final meeting will be on 12th of December. And until then, we plan to publish twice. By the end of the year, actually, we will try to consider feedback, improvements, and other important aspects which actually our group need to consider. And so our plan for next 2 weeks would be a review from Europe and any comments from you that we need to improvement or anything. And Yubi and I decided to double check information with Teams members, and Nina is back again, and I'm very happy with it. And we have Zia in a group too, and we can actually double check the information together. And so I think we are ready to publish, and until then, next 2 weeks, we will add new tools. So our expectations will be at least 4, but I think we can add more tools too. But according to our plan, we have only 2 publications until the end of this year.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like a good strategy. Are you guys happy how it turned out?
Yes, and we are happy with it, actually, with the whole of the process. It's interesting. Yeah.
Nice, very helpful work.
We are also
Yeah,
we're also reminding ourselves who's going to read this and what is the end goal that somebody needs to implement AI red teaming for their team. It serves as a guide. They can go and pick the right tool for them. So it sort of consolidates all the at least the open source tools that are out there for experimentation.
I'd like you guys to think about, consider one thing, which is some feedback that I got from the work around the AI Act.
Exactly.
Red teaming is in general regarded as a very, how do you say, eclectic approach to security, right? It ranges from social engineering to ethical hacking. So the moment that you use the word red teaming, people may get confused. In the AI security field, red teaming has become the term for mostly trying to hack the model. So, well, think about this. Do we perhaps need another term? Don't have to discuss that now or change it now, but give it some thought.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
And just one thing, maybe Benaz, and you can actually cover the collaboration that we have cross projects, especially with the LLM top 10. Can you maybe spend maybe like a minute or two talking about that one, how that one is going?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you cover this slide, or do you want to comment on this?
Yes, you can start with it. Actually, I put it down because I wanted to tell that about our collaboration with the OWASP Top 10, and about this is actually two topics, which two of them actually two topics which I covered, and I tried to help the team, and I'm started to have a focus on a document, and UV actually for the one of the topic.
Nice. It's good to collaborate with the LLM. It's sort of our a big brother or little sister. I don't know. It depends how you look at it. I would appreciate that they would start linking to the AI Exchange, but that's a different thing. I'm glad that collaboration is going on. Ravi?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. It's also good to consider how do we integrate some of these works. For example, Arunish mentioned collaborating with other projects within OWASP, but even within our own AI Exchange, there are streams, so to say, right? One is red teaming, and especially between red teaming and the step-by-step guide, it will be good to consider at what point we integrate some of these things into this. For example, in red team, in step-by-step, we are proposing in one of the steps, we are proposing consider forming a red team and then get that into action. After they have selected the model and put the basic AI security framework in place, then the next step we are suggesting is consider red teaming. So it's good to have some integration point and step by step, and then bring in some of the relevant elements of the red teaming work also into the step-by-step guide.
Yeah, we need to look into that, how to connect everything together. Let me get back to you on that.
Sure.
And perhaps start a discussion in the channel. Integrate red team. How? All right. Anything more on red teaming? No. Thank you. Benas, Yuri.
Thank you. So I think next up is for the step-by-step guide. I think for the last 2 weeks itself, we had very limited engagement with work commitments for many, and then not RSA, the OWASP happened in San Francisco, so that took like this definitely took like a backseat, but we're going to get back into action. So we have like a weekly cadence that we are following for the next 5 to 6 weeks. So we plan to actually continue on that one. And hopefully Mondays are going to be slightly easier for most of the people. No conferences, no presentations are planned. So a couple of things that we have planned, and then other folks can also chime in. I think like one of the things that I'm looking to do is finalize the scopes, finalize the structure, the index itself, and then bring in more focus on regulation and policy. I think somebody had mentioned about
Yeah, Anish, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, like I mentioned in the Slack chat, it'll be good to have a Google meeting calendar set up, like this call. We never miss it because it automatically pops up a reminder. So for the weekly Monday cadence, it'll be good if we can have a Google Calendar invite set up.
Absolutely. I'll actually speak to Chris if he can use any of the existing Zoom or some Google one, and the invites can definitely go out. Let me speak offline with Chris and make sure like it happens.
Yep. Sure.
Anish, that was it for the step-by-step guide, I think.
Yeah. We didn't have like a sizable update on this one for this sprint.
Before we go into promotion and branding, let me touch on the status of requirements, also in response to Piotr's request. Looking at our whiteboard document, the link at the top is requirement specification for security of AI. This is the Google Doc that we use to work on the requirements for the AI Act. And all the things that need work on are marked with to do. Okay, let me get rid of my hand first. This bothers me. Yeah. So if you search for to do, you find a lot of stuff, and some stuff is just for final stages of the document. Other stuff is let me find a couple that might appeal. Oh yes, this section talks about rate limiting, and what we're looking for is indications of the amount of interactions that are required to perform certain attacks, like for example, a model inversion attack or a model theft. Can we find any work that shows that, well, in order to perform a model inversion attack for a train set with this volume or entropy or whatever, you would need to have at least 1 million or whatever, ballpark figures, interactions, because that will allow to have sort of a benchmark on rate limiting settings. This is an important point because rate limiting is a powerful countermeasure against many of the attacks through use. So if this is something on which you have ideas or know anything about, you can simply contribute by adding comments or use the review mode and add stuff. Susanna? You're muted. Yeah,
sorry. This is probably a totally stupid question, but I'm just wondering, oh, sorry, I think I may have just answered it. If you want someone to find something like this, it's based off of published research that is known, so we're not actually disclosing new capabilities. Am I understanding correctly?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no need to do any fundamental work here, indeed. Let's find, for example, well, if you look at resilience tests, those are the more difficult ones. What do we have when it comes to performing resilience tests on data poisoning? The idea is that depending on the countermeasures that are already in place for an AI system, is that in some situations we will this standard will demand from the supplier to have in place resilience test against backdoor trigger data poisoning. And then, well, we need to describe what those tests should look like for different use cases, and also make it easy for vendors and for assessors to find equivalent tests. And that's bleeding edge work, because there's a lot of material that can be found on what you can do against data poisoning and evasion attacks, you name it, but not a lot of work when it's precisely enough, when you've done your homework sufficiently. And that's what we're working on here. So it's a matter of searching for the to-do items and finding with your topic of interest where you can contribute in this document. By doing so, we'll bring this further. And well, mid-January, we need to deliver this in draft. So all these to-do sections that are currently just early drafts and just a collection of thoughts and resources need to be a big step further in order for it to be acceptable as a draft. That's a summary of the work for requirements. Thanks.
Awesome. Are there any other areas that anybody has update on before we move into the promotion and branding?
Susanna?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to double check real quick on the status of the AI doll publishing situation. Do we want to publish that on what's it called, archive, etc., or do people still need to give input? And are we keeping that under wraps for the time being?
I think we should be good to go. Any other thoughts?
Okay, if nobody has any objections, I will submit the draft version 0.9. We'll double check for typos and then submit it to archive for publication, and I'll let y'all know what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's sound groundwork, and of course there's future work, right? Like with any work. So this type of stuff is never done, but it's definitely worthy to share. So.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. There's, as y'all know, there's a lot more to be done there, but I feel like maybe just keeping it simple with one document right now, and then we can iterate and refine in the future, but at least this is something. And yeah, that was my thought. Thank you.
And maybe one thing that we can do as we are doing this one is document how to actually go about publishing that to the archives, so that if anybody else needs to do it or if we need another version, at least we know the process, we know all the stuff, all the challenges that you probably face through the process itself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm keeping notes and I'll report back because this is my first time publishing something there as well.
Oh, this is exciting for sure. Any other update from anyone from a workstream perspective? If not, we can actually go into some of the latest stuff around the branding itself. So last week, 5 of us were in like San Francisco. Rob, do you want to move to the next slide itself? So you have a couple of pictures of Chloe, myself, Niv, Dan, Susanna. So we had like 2 tracks that were there. Like one was a presentation by Susanna itself, and then we had a panel. And I think the feedback, and I'll let everybody actually talk about their feedback, but I think like the feedback was definitely positive. I think there is some focus on the awareness and the education, which definitely was like a repeat feedback that we saw. So maybe Susanna, maybe you can start with your presentation on the thread modeling.
Yeah, this was such an exciting time. I had a wonderful time, and I just wanted to start out by thanking everyone here at the Exchange for encouraging me to do this, because I definitely wouldn't have done it if you hadn't, and I'm so grateful that you did. The talk went really well, from my perspective, at least the feedback that I've gotten from people. I was there the night before, and people were coming up and being like, another talk about threat modeling and AI, what are you going to say? And then I was like, tell me what other people have said, so I can make sure I don't go back and redouble that work. So it was kind of an interesting experiment in finding value that I could present to the audience in real time. I ended up finishing my slides 15 minutes before the talk because I decided to go in and retool it, and just based on the feedback that I had gotten to people prior. So I gave the talk. I got some really good questions from the audience. It's always a difficult struggle to know what level to present at, because I've been so deep in this world for so long, and I kind of take for granted and think I'm the dumbest person on the block, but then it turns out that I have more knowledge on this than people who haven't been in the field. And so I took that my role to be a way of sort of translating that for others. Oh, sorry, I'll try to hurry because I know we're running out of time. I think what I wanted to focus on was giving people actionable methodologies and sort of a general understanding of how AI systems work. So what I was particularly proud of was being able to say, if you know your data flows and you do your process flow diagrams, you can then take those and go to the AI Exchange and see where to apply controls in every aspect of your system because of the way the AI Exchange is organized. So it was kind of nice to do a little bit of promo and get to stand on the shoulders of giants, people who've already done this work of organizing for me, and then go out and kind of give that awareness to people who maybe were unfamiliar with our work, and or the ways in which it was organized. After I got invited to go to ThreatModCon, which was super fun, I ended up hanging out with a bunch of threat modelers, and I got some really good feedback on use of the Exchange. There was someone there named Adam Shostak, I think, who is big in the threat modeling world. And he apparently assigns the AI Exchange to his students in classes. So I'd love to talk about the feedback that I've gotten from there with the group at some point. And also, as a result of this, now I'm getting requests for media interviews. So I will need your talking points, please, Aranish. But anyway, that's my report back. Tons of fun, and then got to do the panel the next day.
Oh, this is exciting. And I know, like, I have like something in the next slide. So we do have RSA submissions open right now. And maybe for this particular presentation that you did, I think you should resubmit it for RSA also. And I might have like some pointers how to actually make it reasonably well to go through the RSA selection process, right? Like how to actually make your title and abstract very meaningful. So I'll give you some tips that I've got from others.
Thank you. I would appreciate this. Yeah, y'all, this was my first ever security conference. So I'm a total noob at it, and I really appreciate you giving me all the pointers and tips.
Well, this is great. And I know like Chloe is not on the call today. So we had a panel also. I know Niv is also not on the call. Dan, maybe you can actually give some perspective on the panel also.
Yeah, no, I greatly appreciate being humbly allowed to join the team. I would recommend for others that have or haven't been able to attend either one of the OWASP conferences and or highlight some of the great things we're doing. I just see myself as a team member, and I think it was one of the great opportunities to be able to see some of the rest of the team in person, network with other people within OWASP AI as well, whether it's LLMs, threat modeling, as Susanna had mentioned, but also just to be able to, get out there and say like, hey, even though we may see that we're just, humbly doing a little work on behalf of the community or doing some, contributions, that, every little piece helps. And I think that makes a big difference in the grand scheme of things. So highly encourage anyone and everyone who wants to join or think like, hey, maybe I'll try this. Hey, we can definitely, make it a thing to be able to get the word out there of some of the great efforts that we're doing. And encourage and help one another to do that. So as you kind of see on the slides, I think one of the key things, a lot of questions were coming out is why is security after the fact? And I think we brought up the defend forward as part of, you know, the initiative and effort is we need to be getting into the security of AI prior to AI being pushed out, everybody using it, and then like, oh yeah, what's the security thing? Maybe we should make it secure. So I think it's a really important activity that we're doing. So good job to all those presented, and it was an awesome event.
And I know, I mean, like, so this is one of those things, and Ravi, I should have contacted you earlier. You presented at one of the conferences in either Bombay or Bangalore in India, right? Do you want to give some update on that one?
Yeah, sure. This was an ISACA annual conference. This year's ISACA conference theme was AI in the digital era. There were a variety of presentations, right from AI in banking, healthcare, and even there was a presentation on AI in filmmaking, right? Different tools, how they could improve the quality, etc. So there was it was a 2-day conference. I presented on the second day on the topic of trustworthy AI, what and how. It was a short presentation for about an hour or so. It was received well. Basically, we talked about what exactly we mean by trustworthy AI. What are the different approaches to bring in trustworthiness into AI? What different countries are doing, and what are the different frameworks available. And I did a deep dive on the NIST trustworthiness characteristics, and then how do we map some of the specific actions and tools to make sure those characteristics are met. So that was a deep dive session on trustworthy AIness. It was received well. At least a couple of people came back to the dais after the conference and asked me about what days and all that. I also gave them the link of, in fact, I even presented the AI Exchange link itself on the slide pack. A couple of people came and asked what it was, and then they sent me a LinkedIn invite. So I think it was received well.
Yeah, I think there are like a couple of slides which have the QR code where people can actually scan how to connect all that details. So maybe we can actually use that 5 or 6 slides for all our presentations for consistency also. Sure. And I know, Behnaz, you're up next. So I think like a couple of submissions were put in for the ISACA virtual conference in February. Those were not accepted, but some interesting things happen. I'll actually have like Behnaz talk about those things.
Yes, actually, unfortunately, it was not accepted, but I received an email and they invited me for the panel discussion about the AI governance. So yes, I'm very happy about it. And so many thanks to Arnush. He helped me actually immediately. I called him and I told him, yes, it's happening. And they sent me different links to actually put my information on it. And so I did it. And so, yes, I'm invited for it and I'm very happy with it. And my journal, actually, I submitted a journal too. And the journal is about AI-powered red teaming against ransomware attack. So I mentioned it on it about the OWASP AI Exchange on a document. So this is the under review, and I received an email that it takes 8 to 10 weeks. And so yes, this is an update, and I try to actually update Arnush as well during then all of the process. But I appreciate your help, actually.
That's great stuff. Great stuff. And I know we are coming close to the 12 o'clock. Let's actually go to the next slide. I just want to touch on 1 or 2 things. So like OWASP happened RSA this year, there are more conferences that are happening in 2025. I mean, like everybody knows RSA and Black Hat. There are other conferences that are going to be there. IC Square would definitely have conferences. ISACA, HumanX is something that's happening in January in Vegas itself. So And I believe there is a link, the first link on this particular slide that actually takes you to a section which has all the upcoming conferences which are reliable and reputable. So we should definitely look at those things. And again, this is a document that we should be self-sustaining. If you come across any new conference that we are not already capturing or tracking, definitely add a new slide, mention what is the CFP closing date itself so that you can actually submit our talks. So RSA 2025, the CFP was extended by 1 week. So now it's going to be ending on October 6th, end of day. So if you have any specific topics, like Susanna's topic is pretty good. If you have any topics itself that you want to present, or we want to have like a panel or something equivalent, we should definitely do that. We do have like 3x, maybe 4 days for that particular deadline, but we should actually definitely put in more and more submissions on that. I think that's a drop on this section.
All right, thanks, Aranis. A lot of celebrations in this session and great reports. Let's wrap it up. Well done, everybody. One more thing to celebrate. There's a list of my gigs in this slide deck. We'll not go through them, of course, but the notable one is on October 14th. Some of you already know this, but I have the honor of opening the yearly Etsy conference in Cannes. And of course, this is great recognition for the AI Exchange as well, that I get this honor. I'll be talking about AI security for a large audience of security standard makers and professionals. So looking forward to that, and invite everybody to maybe go out of your comfort zone and submit a paper just like Susanna did, and see how that turned out. So I hope that motivates you. And with that, this was a great call. I enjoyed it very much, but now I'm off to bed again to recover. See you guys on Slack, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.